All right, on the bench today, finally getting around to the Marantz 2275. Oh, phone's going off, as it always happens. So here's what's going on with this one. I did look at this one previously. Again, I kind of, when I get items from the shops, I'll typically do an initial eval, so I have an idea on just how long a potential repair or service is going to take. This came in with a batch of other things, and it's just kind of sat here for about a month until I had time to really get to it. It was in the queue. I just had a lot of stuff going on. So here it is. The notes that I made. Looks like scratchy balance and volume pot. I know this also has some lights out on it. So I have turned this on. I have listened to it. What I'll be doing today, once I confirm that that's still the operational state of the receiver, is I'll move the camera to up top, and then I'll basically film the or record the lamp replacement and the amplifier alignment. So DC offset, bias, whatever the service manual says. I've got the instructions I printed up already, so go ahead and do that. I do want to just turn this on, and yeah, so passes the dim bulb. It looks like we have one lamp out. I like staying with the original color scheme. People love bright blue. You know, I think I'm going to probably leave this original. You know, so if you weren't aware of how these kind of the lighting for the display is set up, they're incandescent bulbs, and there's a piece of material. It's kind of like maybe it's not wax paper, but it's kind of like a wax paper consistency, or maybe a tracing paper consistency, or butcher paper, right? And it's called vellum. And with time, the heat from the lamps will cause that vellum to yellow, right? Well, you've got on the dial, right? I think the actual color is blue, but you have this yellow light coming through, so it results in this greenish kind of tint. Now, if I put blue LEDs in there, it's going to look bright blue, and people love that. I really like keeping these kind of stock, and because all of the other lamps are okay, I think I'm just going to do that one. So, yeah, I don't know. I may change my mind when I get in there. It just depends. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and move the camera. I will, before I move the camera and open up the top, I am going to just turn this on and make sure that my notes are still valid, that nothing else is going on with it, and then I'll proceed with giving this thing a basic service. All right, so here's the inside. I did initially look at this as well. This came from a customer in town. So we got several pieces from him, and I wasn't real concerned with cranking this on, given what I saw. Or maybe I didn't look at this one, because I would have replaced those caps. Got some bulging caps here. Those I'm going to address. Yeah, wow, got a whole bunch on the protection board, I guess. So it looks like there's going to be a little more work to this than I had initially anticipated. So what I will do is, right now I'm going to replace the lamp. The lamps are back here. I think, if I remember right, I can remove these two screws and slide the lamp piece back out. I think I can do it on this. And then I'll flip this over, get to the controls. Hopefully I can get to those from the bottom. And then I'll have to see if I can get to this board from underneath, or if I'm going to have to remove these screws and flip it up to try to get to it. Hopefully I can get to it from the bottom. So let's look at these. Let's look at these 2 screws here first. Let's see if I can pop these out of there. Oh, I got the wrong screwdriver. So we're getting to that time of year where this is the week after Thanksgiving, and it's 50 degrees in the garage. It's not really cold, but it's not like my other videos I was shooting in July where it was like 100 degrees in here. Definitely prefer it being 50 to 100, but I do some of my work at the kitchen table if it gets too cold in here. Not anything that involves like soldering or anything like that. So, alright. So I should hopefully be able to get to that. I may have to remove, I think I have to remove this. This top piece here. Oh, come on. There we go. And this other screw's kind of buried. I think I have to remove this protective cover here. And maybe that will grant me access. Maybe I won't have to remove that. Oh, I can almost get to it. So these wires are all bundled together, and I think that's what's preventing me from popping this in, out or into a position where I can replace the lamps. So I'm hoping I can remove this one, and it will give me enough room to get to the lamp. Oh man, it's like right there. All right, there we go. Sweet. So the lamp is blown. I have a whole bunch of incandescents here. I do keep old ones, I don't know why, because I never reuse them. I do have a whole batch of old ones. But you know, I'm going to pop 2 in here, so there's some consistency between the 2 lamps. I'll pop this one out. Put it in the pile of all the old ones that I will probably never use. And just pop these in there. And see how it looks. Boy, it came out of there easier than it's going in. Oh, jeez. Alright, got 1, 2, and I also am using some new video editing software, so I may start to include more of my speed through segments. I try to cap those at like 15 seconds in the videos, but what I found was I was not recording some of the disassembly, and then I would have a screw and it would be like, I don't know where the screw goes. So I'll probably start doing that again. See if those lights are working. Perfect. Looks good. Put this back together, and I'll pick this up after I have this flipped over and I start cleaning the controls, so you don't have to watch me put this thing back together because that'd be kind of boring. So I can get to the controls from the bottom, but I'm going to have to take the faceplate off and be careful not to scratch it. And remove this control board. And it's held in by a couple of screws, I'm thinking, on the other side. Oops. Oh man, that's tight. Sorry, I'm off camera here, aren't I? Here we go. So I have some of these plastic little pry bars for installing. I think I bought these to install like a car stereo that I was replacing at one point, but they come in really handy to remove knobs from stereo equipment. So I don't really mar the front. Looks like I don't have screws on top. Got one screw here, and that's on the mid. Alright. You know what? Let me, because I don't want to bore you with all this stuff, I'm going to just kind of speed through this. Wow, so those are, I had to go get a socket. These were all held in place with that that paint, you know, kind of like glue. So it took quite a bit to get those out. Now I think I need to remove these screws that hold that bracket into position. I don't think this has ever been apart. Well, although this screw, it doesn't look stripped, but this thing is almost like a museum piece. Came with a box and everything. And it looks like I am gonna have to keep all this stuff together. Where was here's the board with those bulging caps. Oh, might as well take care of those while I have it apart. Alright, and this is quite the, it's a pretty involved procedure, and I don't know where that screw went. Ah, shoot. There's always one. Right. Screw went underneath this thing and I can't see it, and I don't want to tilt it, because if I tilt it, oh, I see it. I see it. Thank goodness. Right there. Alright, so now, can I move this? Can I get to the pots? Feels like there's still something maybe in the way. Oh yeah, it's the volume control, or is that the volume? What is that? I don't even know what this one is. It's this right here. The cables. Alright, so here's what I'm up against. There's a potentiometer that is being held up. And when I say held up, it means like I can't get it out of there because of this cable tie and this bunch of cables here, or wires. There we go. Come on. I don't know if that... Alright, looks like I'm going to have to cut one of these ties. Goodness gracious. I didn't want this thing to come apart. Darn it. I know you don't want to see my big head in there. But there we go. Alright. I was trying to get this tie off, but it didn't want to cooperate. So here's what was getting caught on the wires right there. Alright, so let me get some fader lube in here. Hit all of these controls. And after I do that, I'll have to look at this this board and remove those capacitors and replace them. Alright, so I had to hit some of those switches blind. I really didn't want to have to take this whole thing apart to get to them. I didn't notice that any of the switches were having any issues, so I kind of got to the ones that I could. I mean, I think I got to all of them, but maybe two. But so this is not a full service, I guess, because I'm not going to disassemble this whole thing. I'm thinking about maybe just buying this for myself. I do like Marantz's. I like the cap-coupled Marantz's, like 2230. Love the 2230. Quite a bit smaller than this. This is nice though, but what would I do with another big receiver like this? Already got a 1050, a 9090, a 3900, all that I've brought back from the dead. And so why would I need a 2275 just to say I got one? That would be the only reason I would even think about keeping this. And that's probably not good enough justification. I think that might get me in trouble with my wife, because these are pretty expensive. All right, what I'm doing now is just screwing the controls back in. I'm gonna have to see if I have the proper. If I have capacitors for the power or that protection circuit. I'm sure I do. But the minute I say that, it's some goofy rating for the capacitors. I did wipe the back of this down with a microfiber cloth. There really was not anything on the back side of it. And this gave me some fits. Everything in here was this had never been apart. At least in my opinion, this has never been apart. So everything in here is real tight and hard to remove. So I had to work on this for a little while. That's good. Put that back on. Put the screws back in. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish putting this back together and test it and let you know how that went, and then I'll talk about replacing the caps in that board right there. Alright, so I replaced all the capacitors. I did not record it because I had to turn this up on its side to take them out, and it just wouldn't have been a good camera angle. So I will take just a minute. I'm always curious when I pull these out, these bulging caps like this. So this is a 220/63. Whoops. I like to just see what they measure. See how bad they were, if they were bad at all. 247. And I'm just looking at the capacitance right now. I mean the ESR, there's a little chart I can go to. I haven't memorized what's good or bad. 330, this is 369. So, you know, plus or minus 10% is probably what you're looking for here. So that's around 10%. What was this one again? 247, so that's around 10%. So, and those are pretty easy to replace. So this is 100, 103. This other one was bulged pretty bad. And it's amazing. I'd start talking and the dogs start barking. It's just amazing how that works. This is 47 and it's 50. So they looked pretty bad. They don't test all that bad. So anyway, so that's done. I'm going to go ahead and put and I've already tested it out. I'm going to put the bottom back on and then go to the alignment procedures, which I've got over here, and align this thing and call this one good. So let me get this back into position to do that. All right, so time to do the alignment. So it looks like there are three adjustments. See the new caps in. Looks like I'm going between, and I probably should have looked at this before. What is it? Oh, 804 and 805 on the power supply. There's 803. Okay, there's 804 and 805. So I think I was calling this the protection circuit, and I was doing that because the relay's on there. Okay, so let's see what we're getting in terms of voltage between 804 and 805. Man, that's kind of tricky. Those little pins are very, very short. So I need to adjust for 35 volts. Let's see what I have. Power this puppy on. You know, I've got it on the dim bulb. Let me put that on regular power. All right. Give it a second. 35, almost right on the button. So not gonna do anything with that adjustment at all. So that's good. All right, next is DC offset. Let's see where we're at. Actually, I can use that. Well, can I? Yeah, I can. DC offset. Gosh darn it, my big fat head's in the way. So speaker terminals, doing that from the back side. Getting 10 millivolts. Let's see, with 0.5. Okay, we're looking for 0 on the meter. And it says I am Adjusting trimming resistor R741, which is, well, I'm on the right side, so 742. So right channel, left channel. Those are the adjustment pots, the different channels. Can't find my little adjustment tool. I could probably just use this maybe. Let's see. No, that's not going to go in there. Oh yeah, it will. All right, so let's adjust this. Yeah, that one's not going to work very well. Oh, there it is. It's like I put it somewhere and can't remember where I put it. So again, we're doing the right channel. Well, it doesn't really seem to be adjusting it. There are some corrections written in here. I'm going to pause this for a second to make sure I'm looking at this correctly. So that should be 742, 741 for the other channel. Oh, do I have it on? I have it on main. Do I have it in main? I'm going to pause for a second. All right, so I had it wrong. So here's what's kind of confusing. So I thought if 742 is over here, 741 would be over here. This is This is the DC offset trimmer, and this is the DC offset trimmer. So there's one higher than the other one. So I think it's 741, 742 on either channel. So if you look, it's at 2019. If I turn this just a little bit to the left, I'm at almost 0 on the left channel. And now I will move this to the right channel. Again, I don't want to get my big fat head in there. And then this will adjust like so. That one's not budging. Okay, there we go. I'm scared of trim pots. Pioneer trim pots especially. So, all right. Okay, there we got it right around 0. That'd probably drift up a little bit with a little bit of time. So I'm going to say that that is good. All right, so the last adjustment. Throw those away. Now here's where there are corrections here. And I may have to pause while I figure out where pins 703 and 704 are. So, this says 707 and 708, or TP 711 and 712, or 703, 704. So let me pause real quick and see where these creatures are located. All right, so I'm going to do, I just want to see what the measurement is for the jumper. So 703 and 704, this is on, I got to be really careful and not forget that. So 703 and 704, if you look at, let's see if I can zoom in on this a little bit, probably not. Maybe. There we go, it'll stay. So purple is 703, yellow is 704. The service manual I pulled down has 703 and 704. It just says between them. It doesn't say which is positive, which is negative. Let me see what I get, and let me see if when I adjust it, if it responds. Now it's saying negative, so I'm just going to adjust it to 10 millivolts, assuming that it adjusts. Okay, so this should be the trim pot that was higher than the other one, the one marked 742. Yeah, 742. So that is adjusting it down. I'm looking for 10. So if I get it to -10, I'm going to call that good. Yeah, normally it will say positive lead, negative lead, you know, what you attach it to. This one just says between pins. So I'm going to assume that's how it goes. And then, let's see, up here, I'm going to have to zoom out. I kind of flip this thing around, see if I can figure out which pin is which, because I have to look up underneath here and then figure that out. Let's see. All right, it was same yellow and purple wire pin on the other side. And if I adjust 742, so I'm going counterclockwise and adjust that down to 10. And there we go. 9.8 is pretty good, I would say. Now I'm going to let this run for 20 minutes or so, and then come back and check it, and then go through all the adjustment procedures again. I'm not going to do the phono amplifier adjustment, although I could. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that one. I just did the regular DC offset and bias adjustment on it. So I'll let this run for a little bit and then come back to it and do some final adjustment on it. And I'm gonna come back to the front of the receiver. What the heck, I haven't been doing that lately. Just kind of show you it after it's cleaned up and all the lamps are installed and all that stuff. So let me let this run for a little bit, come back and adjust it, and then wrap the video up. All right, I got you on shaky cam here, but here's the Marantz. It's all done. This thing is in pristine condition. Very few, almost no marks on the front. All the lights have been swapped out. The stereo light does work, so you can see it pop in there. So yeah, it's a nice one. Super heavy for not being a very big receiver. So what we did on this one, replaced the lamp. Really just did a basic service cleanup. I have a little bit more dusting to do on it, and it's going to be ready to go to the shop. So if you like what you see, hit like, hit subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.